Welcome back then folks to the second build of this particular July bonus special projects pack. This one will be definitely recognisable for Gran Turismo fans, even as recently as GT6, the Opera Performance Honda S2000. I feel like this one was a little bit undervalued, maybe compared to something like the Spoon S2000, which more often than not I would say overshadowed this one. Unfortunately, and if I recall correctly, I think I was going to say that the Spoon fell into a similar camp, but I don't think it did actually. This car is a lot lighter in Gran Turismo than we can actually make it now. So in the past, I think it was 925 kilos, I want to say. So 1016 is almost a full 100 kilos more, which is unfortunate. It means that as far as replicas go, you cannot make it exactly as it should be, which is a shame. Thankfully, that's still not heavy though. So in terms of power, I think if I recall, it's got like maybe 1 or 2 horses more. Something like that, which I think we can forgive that to allow it a bit of an advantage maybe on weight. So you'll have to decide what you want to do there in terms of the power. You could make it exact, but since the weight isn't right, like I said, it seems fair to allow it a couple more extra horses. As far as the livery, of course, I'll put a link to that in the description, which you can check out from the player. As far as the parts, you want your stage 1 weight. I'll just jump into the ultimate section first of all. I just wanted to double check it didn't have the stage 5. Unfortunately, it would have been great to have a stage 5 on this one. We've got the sports hards fitted anyway. If I recall, I have fitted it with racing tyres, so if you have a preference on tyres, I guess, for if you want it to be more challenging or more realistic, if you want it in a lower point level, for example, I'll leave all of that down to you. As far as the Club Sport stuff, we've got the high lift cams there. Again, I'll just double check. We've got the high lift S version anyway, so just jump to the ultimate section there. Then to return back to Club Sports, you want your stage 2 weight. We've got the power restrictor and the ballast. We don't always need it, but they're cheap and it's good to have if you need to just adjust the car in an online lobby, etc., instead of going all the way back out to the main menu. We've got the fully customised diff. I've gone for the fully customised manual box, so it's got a bit more of that analog vibe, but also it's a lower point level while still having the advantage of adjustable ratios. So it's kind of a best of both worlds thing. I've opted to not bother with the rigidity. As you can see, it does lower the points a bit. To be fair, you don't need it in this car. It's already fantastic through corners, so go for it if you want to, but it's not necessary. Stage 3 weight, of course. As far as the racing stuff, all we've got there is the racing silencer, so pretty simple. And then as far as the brakes, I've gone for the drilled. Like I've said before, doesn't really matter which one you go for. You could go for slotted, drilled, you could go for the carbon ceramics if you want to. There's no significant difference really in practice apart from the look. We've gone for the racing pads, race suspension, clutch and flywheel, and then, like I said, I've gone for racing hard tyres. Is it overkill? Absolutely. It's still only 603 points though, so it's not too bad. I'll leave it up to you, because obviously if you do want to use this for say like 550, something like that, I'm sure putting it on sports hards or whatever, maybe even comfort softs, you could use it potentially as a weapon there as well. As far as the extreme, I've slapped on the steering angle adapter just to give it a bit more turn in as well. And for the ultimate stuff, as well as the cams, you'll have probably seen I slapped the carbon prop shaft on there as well. Not entirely necessary and doesn't make any actual difference to weight, but it's just to make myself feel better because we can't make the weight as low as it should be. So that one's more of a placebo, if you will, but sure, why not? Now, as far as the actual build goes, to tune up what we've done, some of the things are a bit different to what you might expect, in particular the downforce. Obviously, if you go for what this player has done, you do have some downforce already fitted because of the wing, etc. This one doesn't have a chin splitter, so the front end downforce isn't adjustable anyway, but the problem is if you're trying to replicate this car, which itself only has a very, very small, barely noticeable chin splitter anyway, you can't really do that. It just goes overboard and it is way too big on the front. So again, if you want to do it, I guess you could. As far as the suspension, we've got the ride height on 92, so almost as low as it can go, but not quite. 4 on anti-roll, 20 and 30 for the dampers, so might seem strange, super low, and then we're doing all the work with the springs instead of the dampers. 2.95 on the frequency, only 1 degree of camber, because again, it's a fantastic cornering car anyway. I will say, if you do decide to maybe put it on comfort or sports tyres instead of racing, you may want to increase your camber just a little bit. That's more of a fail-safe to help you out a bit more, but again, that's down to you. As far as the toe, we've got toe in 0.5 on the front, toe in 0.30 on the rear. So in other words, makes the back end nice and stable, but also gives you a nice bit of turn in on the front as well. As far as the diff, we've got 20, 30 and 20. I personally like that, of course, that's what I've done. So give it a try, and if you want to change it, of course you can. For the transmission, fairly close ratios. You know, you could stretch it, I guess, if you wanted to. 270 is up around, what's that, like 165 miles an hour, maybe 170, something like that. So for most tracks, I would say that's good enough. As far as the ballast, the ECU, all that kind of stuff, it's untouched. Like I said, downforce is as low as it can go, and on the front it's 0 anyway. That's part of the reason why I reduced it on the back. I didn't want it to be like absolutely none on the front, and then a ridiculous amount on the rear. If, again though, you do want to raise that, it does have one key advantage. If you lower the rear, it lowers the points. So you could use that to your advantage if you wanted to keep the racing tyres, but also use it at the 600 point level. So keep that in mind. And then over here, it's pretty simple because you can see everything we've done. So all that remains naturally is, as we always do with these builds, jump out to a track so that I can show you what it can do in practice. Now my notes on this one, for those who don't know, I always like to make notes on these builds for how to use them best or things to watch out for. I literally only wrote for this one. It's forgiving, it's fun, it likes to kick its tail out, but it's very nice to use. It really is as simple as that. This thing is so forgiving and it's so quick. I mean, sure, it will still be probably overshadowed in terms of the amount of people who click on the video compared to the Spoon, but it's kind of understandable. The Spoon is from such an iconic tuning house. This one, though, was always the underdog, at least for me, and from what I could hear from other people talking about it, which was still a damn good car. The Opera Performance is a really good little aftermarket car, which I don't think really gets enough credit for how great it was through corners. Again, if I recall correctly. So if you do decide to use this build, maybe you've got a spare S2000 lying around, or you pick one up from the used dealer, I hope of course you have fun with it. It's not as light as it should be, which is a real shame. Imagine how quick it would be then, with nearly 100 kilos less. We'll have to see in future though if we can change that. For now, I hope you enjoy the build. Of course, there's only one more coming this Friday, which is the Signature, so of course my personal tuning house again, King Cobra Mustang. So stick around for that one. It's a bit leery out of the three. And of course, check out the Zonda Revolution, which I did on Monday as well. Until now though, that's it for this build. See you next time with more, and thanks for watching.